Hi, I'm Lawhon, and this video essay will be based around the politics behind embryonic stem cell research. To begin, I will be explaining what embryonic stem cell research is, followed by explaining the 2001 policy set in place to restrict embryonic stem cell research and its essential failure. I will then describe the state embryonic stem cell research is in now and what we, as American citizens, can do to make sure no more policies regarding embryonic stem cell research will turn out to be failures. Let's set the scene to 20 years ago, the year 2000. Embryonic stem cell research was gaining popularity in the sciences because of its potential in medical breakthroughs. There seemed to be no limits to what embryonic stem cells could be and could do. Since embryonic stem cells are pluripotent, they have the potential to turn into any type of cell in the human body: brain cell, skin cell, nerve cell, bone cell, muscle cell, anything in the human body. Scientists were hoping that they would be able to cure diseases with these pluripotent embryonic stem cells, such as sickle cell disease, diabetes, various cancers, as well as brain and spinal cord injuries. The possibilities seemed endless. 1 year later, President George Bush ratified a policy stating that no derivation embryonic stem cell research could occur and federal funding for embryonic stem cell research would be restricted heavily. Derivation embryonic stem cell research refers to obtaining more embryonic stem cells and creating a stem cell line. Stem cell lines, once made, will continue to produce embryonic stem cells perpetually. We would assume that since there are already, at this point, over 60 stem cell lines in existence, we would not need to retrieve more embryonic stem cells. After this policy was ratified, scientists were enraged, and according to Vakili et al., the policy was essentially a failure. The scientists were determined to be able to perform derivation embryonic stem cell research with or without federal funding, even though they were not restricted from research involving the already existing stem cell lines. The goal of the policy was to restrict embryonic stem cell research by the elimination of federal funding, not to prevent embryonic stem cell research altogether. Scientists were still allowed to research stem cell lines that were already in existence, just not allowed to make more. Scientists still found ways to be funded for their research. They would either go to the state to find funding, or they would cooperate with other countries who allowed derivation embryonic stem cell research and retrieve funding through collaboration. It was like the 2001 policy never existed. Fast forward to 2009, and President Obama's administration, he repealed the 2001 policy and allowed derivation embryonic stem cell research to be performed with federal funding. Today, there are hundreds of embryonic stem cell lines, hundreds of babies' lives that have been wasted in research that has borne no fruit. In the last 20 years, not one of the diseases, cancers, or injuries embryonic stem cells were supposed to have cured have been remotely close to being cured. In an article from Duke University, they stated, "No field of biotechnology has promised more and delivered less in the way of treatments than embryonic stem cells." We know that nothing beneficial has presented itself from embryonic stem cell research. So in hopes that someday another policy will be put in place to create restrictions on embryonic stem cell research, we should be sure that we know what a solid policy would look like using retrospect from the 2001 policy. First, it is important that derivation embryonic stem cell research is banned to prevent further destruction on human lives. If we ban derivation, then neither state nor government will be able to fund it in the United States. Secondly, the United States is a free country, so there is no way to prevent collaborations with other countries that allow derivation embryonic stem cell research to take place. So we should not restrict scientists from being able to collaborate with other countries. And thirdly, we should still allow research to be done on existing embryonic stem cell lines. This way, these babies' lives will not have been taken in vain. We can still have the hopes of seeing results in the future. As American citizens, we should take responsibility. We need to stand up for not only our rights, but for the rights of those in the womb who can't stand up for themselves quite yet. Again, we live in a free country where everyone has rights. Babies are humans too, so we should stand up for our children because our rights are their rights as well. Thank you for listening.